What is up, y'all? It's And the Verdict Is coming at you today with an album review. Today we'll be reviewing G-Eazy's new album, When It's Dark Out. So let's get right into it. Gerald Earl Gillum, otherwise known as the stage name of G-Eazy, is a 26-year-old rapper from Oakland, California, who just recently dropped his new album, When It's Dark Outside. Now, G-Eazy had recently seen success with tracks like Tumblr Girls and I Mean It, but his last album didn't really stick out to me that much, but I will say this one took a major step up, and I'm going to tell you why. Production. I think the production on this album was really solid. I mean, there wasn't a single song where I skipped it just solely because of the beat. Every song was produced very well, and that's usually what I expect from G-Eazy. His production's usually very solid. Features. I thought the features on this album were decent, but it didn't really stick out to me for the most part. I mean, Big Sean's verse on one of them was short, but it went hard, honestly. I think it was probably the best feature on the album. But Chris Brown's voice made a decent impact, and the female singers who did the hooks and the choruses, I thought they were pretty good. They added a nice vibe to all the songs, kind of gave it more of a chill vibe, and kind of added to the more sad feeling the latter half of the album gave you. Lyrics. The lyrics on this album to me were, oh boy, I'd say mediocre at best. G-Eazy is still a growing lyricist that needs to work a lot on his lyrics. For the most part, the songs on here were heavily hooked based, and he relied very, very, very heavily on the production. I'd say too much on the production. He really needs to sit down, expand his vocabulary, and really get into it. There are a couple songs on this album that had above decent lyrics, but for the most part, his lyrics don't really have too much deeper meaning and really don't go into the world of wordplay and don't really stand out that much, honestly. The good and the bad. Alright, on the good spectrum of things, we have What If, One of Them, Sad Boy, Everything Will Be Okay, and Me, Myself, and I. Kicking off with the good side, we have Me, Myself, and I. Now this track is a really good feel-good track. On the first part of the album, it's got really nice female vocals, like I mentioned earlier, that give it just a good feel-good vibe, and I think Eazy really comes on and shows a little bit more lyrical talent than I gave him credit for previously. Next up here, we got What If. Now, What If is a track made up of, well, what if scenarios. Like he mentions, what if Pac was still alive? All the lyrics in the song are, I think, kind of digging deep into Gerald's mind and kind of listing off thoughts that just kind of pop into his head time to time, and he's kind of venting that on this one track here. And I think it's a really solid track that he really shows off some lyrical ability. Next, we have Me, Myself, and I. And I think what this track is trying to convey is that Eazy, he now has money, which he didn't have growing up. So now he's just kind of thinking about all the stuff he can do now that he has it, and all the stuff he can buy now that he has it. And I think on this track, Eazy he comes off strong with a strong beat. Like I said, production is nice on this album. And as previously said, Big Sean on this song really does go hard, and it really tops off the track. Now here we have the track Sad Boy. Sad Boy is a track about Gerald's almost double personality, as he deals a deep introspective of how he has everything he's ever wanted, but it feels sort of empty. In the song, the lyrics are almost a battle between Gerald's two personalities, as one side he's a king who has everything he ever wanted, but on one side he's just a normal human, which is a really deep introspective in my opinion, and the lyrics have really good merit to them, and almost shuts me up for my previous comment of his not so good lyrics, but not quite. Finally here for the good spectrum of things, we have the song Everything Will Be Okay. This was the big song on the album. This was definitely the highlight of the album. This was my personal favorite, as this one is probably the deepest song I've heard in a long, long time. And it really deals with issues in Gerald's life, like that he figures out his mom is lesbian, and at a young age he doesn't quite understand it, and eventually as he matures and gets older he accepts the fact. And towards the end of the song it deals with the eventual passing of his mom's lover and how he tried to save her life. She was all blue, but he was too late and she'd already died by the time he'd gone down to the basement to tell her dinner was ready, and which really hits home and makes you kind of feel for Gerald, as that's a tragedy in someone's life and it's hard to get over. And the fact that he's putting all these words onto a page that really deals with his personal issues is very courageous, and I really admire this track, honestly.
The bad.
For the bad here, we got almost the majority of the rest of the songs, honestly. They were really weak lyrically, like my claim earlier that G-Eazy is a pretty weak lyricist, and the production was meh on most of them, but they just really sounded like noise to me, honestly. There wasn't any merit to the lyrics. Like I said, the production wasn't that great, and the features were kind of weak as well.
Honorable mentions, partner.
Honorable mentions for this album are Random and Drifting. Both of these tracks were decent tracks, but I didn't feel like they belonged in the good or bad, so I put them in the middle as my honorable mentions. Now, Random was a good track. It had a solid beat, but the lyrics didn't have too much merit and they weren't that special, so that's why they were put in the middle. And Drifting was actually a pretty nice track with Chris Brown and Tory Lanez. I think Tory Lanez is a really good up-and-coming artist who has a couple bangers that I think you should check out. It's definitely worth your time. Along with listening to this song as a whole, I thought it was nice. A good feel-good track, kind of got your vibe in, and it was pretty happy, so, you know, it was pretty good.
And the verdict is
7.5 out of 10. I think this album was really solid, had its ups and downs, but mostly up for the entire experience. I think you should go pick this album up for sure, because it's going to be in my playlist, and I think it should be in yours too. I think you should give it a chance. Well, this has been an And the Verdict Is review. I'm signing off, and I hope to see you on the next one. Peace.